Okay, so we are back, week 10, part 2. So I'm recording what I'm doing. Hopefully I'm doing it okay now. I'm in the 10th week, shouldn't make mistakes. Anyway, so we were here where I've said that assume that your product.db is a utility class that does the job of you for getting the products. And then we've populated our list. First our class variable, which is a list, and then from the list using a for each loop, we've put it onto the list box. Okay, so now when I run the application, as I showed you before we went for break, my list gets populated. Okay, my next job is to, if you remember on the form, again, just taking you back to the form, a user is able to add a new product and delete a product. So let's go back and see how do we add a product. Let's think about it. What do we have to do? What do you want to do when the user clicks on add? The new form, the add new product form should come up. The user should be able to, of course, then enter or whatever does a save, but the new form has to come up. That's your first thing. How do you make a new form to come up? We've done this in the about form. Remember, we've done the about forms when we make a new form to appear. So what you basically do is, oh, we are in add. Ryan, could you please close the door? Thank you. Is displayed, right? That's what happens. So again, please see that I don't forget, and you don't forget to put a functionality comment in each of the methods. What does this do? It populates the list box with the products. That's what it does, right? What does the load method populate the list? Yeah, that's what it does. Okay. So how do we do that? It's just a form, right? You create an object of it and you say show it. That's what you do. So you already have this form created. You already have this, where is it? Form new, then here, there it is. This is the form. This is what I want to display now. Okay, so let's go back again. Okay, so how do we display it? We kind of create an object of that form and we say show it. Okay, so let's do that. And that class is called form new product. There it is. Create an object of it. You can call it whatever you like. I'm calling it new product form. Okay, just so that it makes sense. And create an object. Call its constructor. Oops. Okay. And now display it on the screen. Once the form is displayed, you would like to, if the user fills in information there, and then depending upon save or cancel or whatever, if the user hits save, it is saved onto your XML file. If the user hits cancel, nothing is done. So let's go one by one. Okay, now once that form comes up and you basically want, we have a product there that we want to get back. This is how you get it back. Create a object of your product class. See, your product class is coming to handy. Create a project from your new product form. Where are we? There it is. From the new product form. Now that's not yet been written, but we will have to write it. This is when the user hits the save and the data has to pass back. So of course it will say I don't find it. For a minute, leave it alone. Okay, we haven't written it, so not much to do. So now, how do you add it? If this product is not equal to null, that means the user did give you something back. What do we want to do? We want to basically put it in the list and also put it on the in the database and then fill the product list again. Okay, so add it to your local list. Remember your add method? Add it to your local list. There. Also now save it in the database, and again, we'll assume that this class provides us with a method that already exists and is called save products for your information. Pass the list back to it, the whole complete list, and it puts it back in the XML file. And then again, fill your own product list box. There it is. Because you've made a change. Right, so the list box has to be repopulated. So it will, so the get new product has still to be written. So forget about it for a minute, but the get new product method will get the new product from there. And if that product is not equal to null, when it will return null, when will it return null? When we complete it, you will know when it is not valid. The data is not valid. If it is not null, add it to the local array, to the local list. It's like your array list in Java, right? Also put it in your XML file. You have to remember, or you're putting all data in. If you don't put it, then it's gone. Program closes, list is volatile, finished, done. Put it back in your database, not database, sorry, in your XML file, and then repopulate your list again. That's what you have to do. Now, since we can do this in the sense that that method is not written, let me at least show you this. So let's try it. Uh-oh, that's what will happen. Of course, it will not work, but let me at least try this. So when I click on the add, oh, forgot to show it. Right? What is the name of the form? New product form. There you are. And show. Where are you? There you are. Again, the show dialog or show. I think show dialog would work because the user should not be able to come. Depends. If I say show, the user can, let's try that. Remember, show was, you can ignore the form. You can ignore it. Show dialog would be a better one. But I'm still saying if product is not equal to null, so I'm safe. Then it comes up, but the show is this. You can come back here without filling up anything. And maybe that will, this if condition will take care of it. But if I do a show dialog, I have to do something on this before I come back. Okay, so we'll kind of think of it, what will be, and again, this has, it's just, you'll have to do something here, and nothing is working here in the sense we haven't written code for it. So we'll come back. So this is kind of your add method. Of course, it won't work right now because I haven't done the get new product. What should you be doing in delete? The delete simply says delete a product from the, so the user will have to choose a product and then hit delete. That's what you have to do in delete, right? So let's write the code for it. Okay, so what do we want to do? You want to delete a product. And remember, deleting a product is not only from your list, not only from your display. Deleting a product is also from your products list and also from your XML file. So it's just not removing it from visually. It just doesn't remove it visually. It has to go away from the products list, and it has also to go away from your XML file. Okay, so let's do. Now what do we need to do? Okay, so let's take an int. Let's find out, did the user select anything from your list box? That's our first goal. If the user hasn't selected anything, there is nothing to delete. Okay, so let's do this. So if your I is not equal to, -1, that means the user has selected something. So if you want to put a comment, or if you want to put a comment wherever you like, user has selected item to delete. And you know what? If not, let's do this. Let's put an else immediately here. And what do we do in else? We tell the user to select. We just put a dialog box and say, please select a list. Please select an item to delete. So show your message box. Show and go. Please select a product to delete. Otherwise, how will you delete it? We can go something like delete unsuccessful, because nothing was done, right? And we can use an oops. When I'm not looking, then it does whatever. So that's a title. That's the title of your combo of your message box. An OK button, and of course, and an icon, error or exclamation or whatever you want. Icon. There and there. Right, so you can put it, I mean, you kind of know how it does. If you don't, if I can put it on different lines for you, but it's just there. Right? Okay, so if it is not equal to -1, that means the user has chosen something to delete. So you'll have to remove it basically from the display and everything, whatever. Okay, now you'll have to get it first, okay, from your list. So take a product, and from your, I'll show you, I'll write it without doing a casting, and then oh, it doesn't complain. Oh, I already declared it as a list of products. Okay, okay. So what have I done? So you selected an item from your list. So the I tells me which item. Remember the index, the selected index goes from 0 to whatever, count -1, and whatever you've selected, I get that item from my list. That's how I get it. Like it looks like an array kind of, but the same concept. Remember, the major difference between list and arrays is arrays are fixed size and list is dynamic in nature. Okay, so get it. I mean, get it means say just put it in a local variable. Now, just before deleting, we always do that. Just before deleting, let's say, are you sure you want to delete? So I'm going to create a message so that it's easy to show in the dialog box. Sure you want to delete it or whatever. Let's confirm from the user before we kind of go. So let's create a message, a string, right? And then I'm going to show a message box. Show it, show the message. It just makes it easy if it's a bigger one, though it's not that big. Show your message. Let's call it confirm deletion. And you know what? Of course, we have to find out what the user said. So take a dialog result, please. Put it in a variable called confirm or whatever you would like to call it, and confirm deletion. And we have to show the buttons now, right? We have to show the buttons, yes, no, or you can go yes, no, cancel. You can go yes, no. So I'll take it to the different line. I'll go message box again, show the yes, no. There it is. And then again, if you want to leave default as 1 or whatever, you can do that. Or you can stop right here. You don't have to overload it to whatever. I just kind of choose to go ahead and show my icons just because I find it neater. And again, if you would like to have a default of no, then you'll have to do it. If you don't want a default of, if you want a default of yes, the first button is by default automatically selected. So it depends. If you want no to be selected, then you will have to do this. Then you will have to say no. So you're kind of assuming the user made a mistake. You know what I mean? Like you'll say, but if he's saying it, whatever works for you. There. So if you want the first button to be the default button, then you don't have to default it. Automatically, the first button is the default button. And basically, you could have written here, you didn't need that message. This was also not a small one. It usually is. It depends on you. It just makes it a little neater. Right? So if the user confirms yes, if the user confirms yes, so if your confirm is equal to dialog result dot yes, there, okay. Now that means the user has confirmed, yes, I want to delete. It's always a good idea. You don't have to do it, but it's always a good idea. Like this, I don't have to give a message on the screen saying, please select a product to delete. The user should know that this is how you delete it. You select and delete. But you know what? I told you, defensive programming. Assume the user is always stupid in the sense that 1, he'll mess up your code, and 2, he doesn't know what to do. Okay. Okay. So if the answer is yes, that means this product has to go from your list. So what will I do? Take your, remember, this is a method that is available. Where is your products? Why don't I see it? I still don't see it. Now it comes up when I'm done. Okay, there is a remove method. There is a remove at method, whatever you like. So you can do a remove at your selected, oh yeah, there it is, remove at. You can do a remove at your selected index, or if you like, since you already have this product, you already got it, you can remove. So you can use whatever you like. Doesn't even change it to capital. You can use product if you like here because I've already retrieved it. Notice I've already retrieved it. Or you can use your selected index. Both will work. If you're going to use your selected index, please use the remove at method. If you're going to give the item, the product to be removed, please use the remove method. That's the difference between the two. Now I have to put it back in my data, in my XML file. So I'll again go product DB. Come on. There it is. And again, you can assume that there is a method called save products there, which there is. Put it back on your list. Put the list back there, and then repopulate your list again. Call that method again. So handy method. You fill product. And did I make it public by any chance? You can make it private because it's not needed outside. Yep. Oh, it is private. Okay. There. Makes sense? So see that the user has selected a product to delete. Make sure that he or she wants to delete it, and then just remove it from your list, and then remove it from the XML file, and then repopulate your list again. So this fill products does what? Goes, gets it, repopulates it. Now you can say, oh, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to repopulate? Can't I just remove it, like displaying, remove it? But remember, it's the data is being saved and picked up from the XML file. So if you are making a change there, you have to get it back and then show it here.
Can you just go back up to where you define I?
The I is just the selected index of your list. Right? I is just the selected index. Did you select something? Therefore, I had an else where it said, oh, you didn't select anything. Right? That's where I had an I. Okay. But the problem is, I haven't yet completed my new form. So delete, there is no problem. Delete will work fine. Do you want to check? Did I comment that out? No, I didn't. So I have to comment, otherwise I won't be able to run it. So add won't work because add is dependent upon the other form. So add won't work, but this will work. Delete will work. So let's try to delete without selecting. Please select a product to delete. Doesn't make sense, right? Okay, so let's delete now, whatever. Let's delete one. It's not too neat, but instead of tab, maybe I could have used something like a fixed size string. Okay, let's delete. It will say, are you sure you want to delete? And notice how no is highlighted because I said button 2. So you can do whatever you want. There it is, and it's gone. And it's not only gone from here, it's also gone from your XML file. See, it's saying, do you want to delete it from your XML file permanently? It says, are you sure you want to do it? Now, if I want to, I will. But since I have only 4 records, but if I say yes, and if you go back to your Solution Explorer and you look at your products.xml again, remember it had 4. Remember it had 4 records first. Now, how many does it have? 1, 2, and 3. It's gone. Physically, it's gone. And that's how data is saved permanently from one run to another. So if I wasn't using an Excel file, it's just an XML file because it came with the project. I didn't bother to do it in text files. I'll do text files next week. I'm using a file. It's not, so you will say, but you're using a list of products also. But remember, that's only for populating my list box. Of course, that's gone, right? Therefore, every time I make a change, I go back and populate my list again. When I start my code, I populate it from the XML. When I add anything, I put it back. When I delete anything, I remove it from my XML file. So everything is being saved permanently now. You are using a local products list, but that local products list is only for displaying purposes, nothing else. So of course, like it's just for displaying. So every time I want to display something. Now when you run it again. Notice I only have 3 records. So that's how between forms you will save your data. That's one way of doing it. Save your data to a file. When you run the program again, pick up your data from a file. Right? Okay. Now, so we've kind of finished this, but of course we haven't finished the product, the new one. Where is it? New here. Okay. So what do we have to do here? 2 things. Cancel is easy. And the save. Right now, I would like to do some validation. We've always said, do your validation. You will say, oh, you already did it in product. You said it should be greater than 0. Yeah, I've done that. But here, when the user enters something in the product box, I don't want to leave code empty. I don't want to leave description empty. I don't want to leave price empty. The usual coding, the usual validation that you do. And on or over it, I don't want the price to be non-numeric. I want it to be numeric. Plus, if you want, you can also say greater than 0 here. And you can say, oh, can I remove it from my product class then? You know what I would say? There's no harm in keeping it at both places. You know that the data won't be passed, but there you've already taken care that if a product is created not from the new form, but otherwise, then it's also taken care of. So now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do it a little differently just because I'm using classes. Instead of writing my try-catch blocks in my code like we've been doing till now, and which is perfectly fine, there is nothing wrong in it at all, I'm going to create a validator class today. Now, what is this validator class? This validator class, again, it's an empty class I've already given you because that's what we are learning today, to create our classes, right? This validator class is basically a class. It's a static class. Please notice it is a utility class. So again, it's a utility means it gives you some methods, static methods to do certain jobs. So it's a static class. It's a utility class, a helper class that will have some helper methods. And you will notice that I'm going to do a few things with this helper class today. I'm going to put all my validation in this class today. And also I'm going to show you something that can be done differently. Okay, that can be done differently. It's not a big class, but we'll learn how to do it. Okay, so what does this class do? So put your name here. Put your date here. Hopefully I can remember to do this every time because I expect you to do it. And what is the purpose of this class? This is a helper class. That's what static classes are. That basically validates your input, okay? That's what it does. And then you will use it in your other class to validate your data. Okay, I'll kind of try to do this quickly because we are running short of a little time, but that's okay. Okay, let's start here. So notice a class is static. Yes, classes can be static. Static means, that means, what does that mean? It can have static. Can it have static and non-static methods? No, all methods in a static class should be static. So can I have without static and still put static methods in it? Sure, you can. Then you can have both static and non-static methods in it. But as if I see it from the point of view that I am creating, I want to create a helper class. You will never create objects of it. It's a helper class, just you're using its methods. So I've made it static. Okay, so let's put some methods into it. So now I'm going to take a field called, I'll kind of go away with my comments, guys, just because I'm kind of time pressed here. So this title is the title that I'll put in each of my, I don't like the idea, but anyway, this is the title I'll put in each of my dialog boxes. Okay, so I've given it an entry error. I've given it an initial value called entry error. I'm going to create a property for this, and everything has to be static in a static class. Don't forget. And since it doesn't do a lot, it just has a get or a set, I'll just created the short form I did, okay? And that was get set. So you can get the title, you can set the title. So that means I can change my title, okay? I can, but I mean, not necessarily I will. Okay, now it has a few methods. So this method, checks or validates checks if if a text box is empty. I'll write them here and then I'll keep calling these methods every time. I want to call it from code, description, and so on. We'll go there. Just write this method and it will make sense. It's a public method, has to be static, returns whether Boolean true or false, says, yeah, was it is present. Notice how methods are written in Pascal case. It takes a text box from you as a, you can call it whatever, I'm calling it text box, that way I don't have to remember more names. Okay, so what does it do? This method is going to return a Boolean value. It will check whether your box is empty or not and will return true or false. Okay, so what am I doing? If the text box you have given me, you can say, I think it is it called is empty or Boolean or something? Oh, I thought there was a method which said is empty or null with a text box. Am I wrong? No. Like, oh, okay, that's how it is. Okay. And then it says is empty or null. No, it's not. Oh, I forget it. Anyway, of course, I know the easy way of doing it. I was trying to use a method. There is one. I can't, it's not. You're basically saying is the text empty. But I was trying to see if there is a method that is available. Okay. And if it is empty, that means you return false or whatever. I mean, we'll see what we want to do. Okay, so what do you want to do? You want to show a message box. So if it is empty, you want to show a message box. You want to say, and now how will you say which text box is empty? I want to show you a neat trick that I learned. In your new products method, if you go back to your design, just so that I can show you something here. If you go to the properties, there is a property called tag, which we haven't yet used ever, but there is a property called like tag, right? Like the normal English word tag, which says, okay, like a keyword, okay? Notice how with this text box called code, I have associated the word code with it in its tag property. What will be its use is here. So I'm going to go to the validator here and I'm going to show that this particular text box, its tag property. So if you're calling it with code, it will say code. If you're calling it with description, it will say description. If you're calling it with price, it will say price. That's what I put it in their tag properties and is a required field. So I'm using one common error handler for it. So if I had done it in my usual way, then I would have to have a try, 3 try nested catch blocks, right? And then I would check each one of them and say when it was empty. This will allow me to do my job quickly. Okay, so let's go title because you created one. You didn't have to, but again, the title, just because it's there. And again, if you want to have an OK button and you want to have your icon, and this is more of an exclamation or message, whatever you would like to say, or an error or whatever. So you're basically saying this is a required property. So it could be an information if you want. Right? And return false. That means something is wrong. If you gave me an empty field, I can't work with it. You will see how I will call this method is present when I validate my data in my new form. I can call it with all 3 fields, right? So that's one. Let's try to do for, I'll put what I need and then when I need more, I'll add more. Okay, so I'll create a static method again. It will again return a Boolean value because they return a true and a false. That's what they do. I'm going to check. I called it is decimal just because it makes sense. I'm again going to pass a text box to it. I'm again going to call it text box just because it's easy. And what will this do? Does the name suggest what it will do? It is going to return a true or false depending upon whether your price is a valid decimal or not. Right? So this is for decimal. You could add whatever you like. For now, I don't. I can check for decimal. I can check for is within range and so on. For me, is decimal is okay. So what will you do? Same thing. You will take a local variable. I mean, you don't have to. You can initialize it to M because local variables are not initialized. Now, you've passed me a value in a text box and I will parse it. Remember your try parse method? Okay, so try to parse your text box and try to parse that text box that I've just passed you and its text. Remember you had to pass an out with it. We haven't used try parse a lot at all, but that's its syntax, okay? So you're basically saying try to, am I one shot? No, I'm okay. You're trying to say parse the text box that I'm passing you, parse it text, okay? And out number means what? Out number means if it is okay, it will give back that number to you in this variable called number, and therefore I had to declare this local variable. And if it is not, it will be false. Okay. So if everything is okay, we will say return true. If everything, so the try parse returns a true or a false for your information. Bring your mouse over it. Here, bring your mouse. It's a method that returns a Boolean value. Notice it's telling me it runs a Boolean value. It takes 2 parameters, string s and out decimal the result, converts the string representation of a number to its decimal equivalent. That's what it does. Okay, that's what it does. Okay, so return true if everything went okay, else return false. So anytime you want to validate a field which is, Wait. Because I have to pass that number too, right? Okay, so I'll have to do an else here because I want to show the message box. I just realized I didn't say what was wrong. I could have done it in the first one, doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, we'll show the message box. Show your message box. Give a message like, okay, which box? Doesn't matter. There's a text box there. It's tag property. So again, for me, I only have price that I need to validate, but I'll kind of keep it. I'll just keep it general because you can use it with if you wanted to add more. Must be a decimal value. Okay, give your title, the title that you have. Again, you can use, I'm using the capital title. Notice I'm using the property. Did I use it here too? I forgot, or did I say a small t? Yeah, capital T. I'm using the get property. Okay, put a comma, put your message box dot icons. Icons, this is an error. And then we'll, what else? Oh, I'm missing the plus is missing. Okay, there is the plus. The third one is, don't we show the, irritates me when it doesn't help me because I can't remember names. Okay, message dot. Okay, so we have message dot, there it is, button dot, okay, there, and an error there. And we always do this. We bring our focus back to the text box. So bring it back. Take your text box and bring the focus back. There it is. There it is. And then return false. Can't even do this, that it can't even capitalize it. There. Okay, so what have I done? Look at this small method. It says try to parse it. When you parse it, if you're able to parse it, if it is true, this value returns a true or a false. I could have done a not here and written the error message here. Doesn't really matter. Parse it, and if everything goes okay, pass this number out. And therefore, I have this variable. Pass this number out and return true. I'm thinking, did I make a mistake here? Okay, I'll think about it when I use it, though it's not the right attitude. But something is not. Okay, the third one, where are we? Public static Boolean of class. Okay, so that's, I keep forget, then I'll forget. Is Boolean. This was the end of is decimal. I'll write one more. Remember, I do three kind of checkings. Do you remember the exceptions that I handle? Not empty, numeric, not out of range. Those are the three errors that I handle with a number. So I'm going to write it now write another method. Public, again, same concept. Take static, returns a Boolean. All these validator methods will return true or false. Is within range, I'm calling it is within range. These are it's just a helper class. I'm kind of a little, I think I'm making some mistake. Anyway, let me take a text box again. Now, if you wanted to always kind of say it will be in this range, then you don't have to pass the range. But if you want to make it generic, you could pass the minimum and the maximum values, which can be avoided. But I'll just kind of, again, I'm just making it a very general helper class. I'm saying you can always pass me the minimum value and the maximum value, and I'll see that it is in this range. Then I can use it with, I'll show you how to use it with your integers and your decimal. Not a big job. So this is within range is going to take a text box. You've passed it a minimum value, you've passed it a maximum value, and your job is to check that it is within the range. Okay, so take your decimal number, convert it into a decimal, and remember, you're only calling this method after you have ensured that your number is a decimal. So how you call it is important, which we will learn, which we will use, right? For a minute, let me just complete this. This is just writing without any thinking where you will use it. Okay, and if your number is less than minimum or your number is greater than maximum, you want to give an error message. Else, you're okay. Again, you don't have to say an else because there is a return statement right here, a return true. So you don't need an else because return means return. Okay, so what do you want to do? So if it is less than oops, opposite. Sorry, opposite. Return false if something went wrong and return true if everything went okay. Okay, so you want to show a message box again. Dot show method. Okay, what do we want to say? The number is not within range or whatever you want to show. And again, because I don't know what you passed me, I'll take my text box, use its tag property. So if price is being checked, it will say price. If it was something else, product, I don't know what else could be with a product. That could be an integer. Maybe quantity in stock, it would be an integer, then it will just use that tag. Okay, must be between. And then again, you don't write it yourself, just fill it in. I should have been using a message here between min and max. There. So that's the message you will say. You will say this, whatever it is, must be between this value and this value, right? And again, you can show the title, put a comma, show the title. This is getting the title, okay? Then you can have your usual message box buttons. And then you can have your usual message box error icons. And there you are. And there you are. And there you are. And focus back to your text box. You know what? You can do a select all also. Nothing stops you. Anything that you've done there, you are just using here. So what did we do? You can clear it also if you like. I do a select all clear. You can do a select all. We should be doing it in the other one also. I usually do a select all, but it depends. I mean, I'm not forcing you to do it exactly how I do it. But of course, I would like you to focus back for sure and select or clear, whatever works for you. So if you kind of think for a minute, this is what I do when I write my catch blocks. I show a message box, I do a select all, and I focus. I'm exactly doing that here. I'm doing the same job. But what I've done is I've created a validator class, and it will make my life a little easy. So I'll do a text box dot select all here also, or a clear, whatever makes sense to you. I'm okay with both. No big deal. What have I done? I've created a class, a validator class. This validator class is going to do 3 validations for me. 1, it validates whether it's empty or not. 2, it validates whether my price is a decimal. And of course, if you wanted to add an integer validation also, I could. It's not a big job at all. I'll again try to parse it and do whatever with it. But anyway, let's use it now. So I only need this one now. Now, let's save this. And if you would like to, I can do that quickly maybe. But I can changes. Anybody picking it up from GitHub as I'm doing it? No, then it's not. Oh, you are? Okay. There are 3 changes. So let's do, what did we add? Added the validator class. If you need to, just do a commit. Let's do a sync. Let's do a push. And it's up on Blackboard, up on GitHub. Okay, let's come back. Okay, so my validator is ready. Now my last job, I have to complete this. Here is where I'll use my validator. So if you do not give me a code, if you do not give me a description, and you do not give me a price, when you try to save it, it will say, oops, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, how can you have to give me complete information. So all 3 fields must be non-empty, and your price must be a decimal and must lie within range. Now you'll say, what is this range? Now you could decide your range. You could say $0 to $100, for example. You know what I mean? Or you could say $0 to $500. I don't know. You could define your range if you want. Or you can say it can be any decimal number. Then you will pass the minimum and the maximum values from the decimal class. You can pass what is your minimum and what is your maximum. Okay, having said that, let's do it now. Okay, so you can start with whatever you like. I have given you some code. I'm sure I've given you empty methods. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's look at it. Same, you've seen this before. I'm kind of saving my time. I'm not giving my comments right now. Please forgive me for that, but I'll do it afterwards. Okay, so there is my constructor. There is my save button, which of course I haven't done anything, and the cancel button, which just closes the form. So if you say cancel, nothing gets saved. Here, so what do you do here? What does your save button do? It validates or checks that code description and price have been provided, right? That's its one job. It also validates that price is a valid decimal number. That's what its job is. So when you hit save, you will have to kind of go, oh, is my data valid? And is your valid data? Yes, and then we'll go on and forth. You know what? Yeah, this is what I did. I didn't do it there. Therefore, I'm thinking, where did I show my form? Okay, doesn't matter. Remember, you needed a method. Where was it? We were having an error in that. Come on, there it is. We needed a method called, what was that method called? When I was saying in the fill, in the add. Oh yeah, I had commented it out. I need that method. Now you can uncomment this out, and we need this method get new product. We need this method in the other class. So we'll have to fill this in method. We'll have to fill in it in. Right now, you can do a show or a show dialog here, but now I realized why wasn't my form showing up? I had done this showing in my other method. So I'm just going to take this out from here. I mean, you could have done it here. It's no big deal. But I'm going to take it out from here. I'm going to take this get new product, come back to my main CS, and come back to my new where you are. No, not in your design, sorry, in your code. And before I do anything, I'll put it here. I want to write that method, right? Because remember, it was needed. Okay, so it's a public method. It's a public method. I'm using this get the new product. It's a public method, and it returns a product. Remember, it returns a product. The return type was a product. Oops, not P product, P capital P product. Again, using my class. See, definition is at one place. All the forms can use it. So I don't have to keep defining this definition of what is a product everywhere. Doesn't make sense. I'm using an entity called product. I created a class out of it. I use it wherever. This is why I removed the show from there. I'm going to show the show dialog here. I'm thinking, why didn't I do it? Now I realize I did it here. And I'm using show dialog because I want to respond to it before I go back, guys. Okay, and return the product. That's what it does. We'll say, what is this product? Give me 1 minute and I'll tell you what this product is. And we definitely need a private variable of type product. Call it product. Start with null, which is also null. So this get new product is only returning a product. You're saying, where are you making this product? I'll do it in the save. Okay, don't worry, I'll do it in the save. So it's a class variable. I defined a class variable product, initialized it to null because there I'm checking if it is equal to null. And of course, it's a class variable. It will be to null. You don't have to do it. It's just me with my objects. And then I'm going to save it here. Okay, so now I have to validate my data before I do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say if my data is valid. So I'm going to write is valid data method right here. And I'm going to say if the data is valid, I'm going to do this. And you'll say, what is this is valid data? Bring your mouse to it. Say show potential fixes. And it says control. It says control. Maybe you bring your mouse over it and do a control period. Oh, there it is. And it says generated. I'll say, yeah, generated. So it will just put it right here. It just saves me 3 lines of code. That's all it says. Okay, so is the data valid? If the data is valid, everything is okay. Here is where I'm going to create my new product and call the constructor with the 3 parameters. And where are these 3 parameters coming from? They're on my form. Okay, they're you'll have to do using here. You can say namespace. I don't have to. It's the same namespace. Oh, that's why it's grayed it out. It is not required. Okay, so get it. And now you have to pick up what you put on those text boxes. It's called text code. Take its text property. It's called text description. Take its text property. If you want, I can put it in different lines here so that you can see it. If the data is valid, I'm good to go. Take my 3rd text box, which is my price, right? And what was it called? And takes its text. And of course, I'll have to do a convert here. I'll have to do convert here. because that's requiring a decimal. Remember, that's requiring a decimal. So I've used 2 strings before. I'm doing a convert to decimal just because that's a better way of doing it here. I mean, you could have done 2 string. Doesn't matter. There. So the new product is created. And once everything is done, save, you've done everything, close it. Close your form. I can improve this code a little. I will, because the use, oh, there was no control box there. Okay, I don't need to. That's okay. There are no closing or nothing. I have to close it myself. So I'm good here. There's so many things that I can tell you, and I wish I had more time. Anyway, so if your data is valid, you create your new product, pick up the information from the 3 text boxes, create your new product, and remember who's returning this product. It's returning it, right? You're passing it back. And if it doesn't work, it has null in it. Okay. So every time you hit add, it will go there. It will be null to begin with. If everything is okay, it will fill it up, and the get new product will return it. Now, what is this is valid data? Now, this is valid data is basically going to call those methods there and return a true or a false. See, it's so simple now. Another way of doing stuff. That's all. From your validator class, where's my validator? I thought I called it validator. There, now it comes up. From my validator class, I'm going to call those methods. Is present. Who is present? Is my code present? Pass this text box from here, right? And I'm doing if everything is okay, then my data is valid. And I'll just put it on different lines. Again, from your validator. It doesn't help me till I get there. From your validator, is present. Which one? The second one. Text description. And remember, this is the shorthand and. If the first one is false, it won't even check the second one. So how I'm writing it is important. Then I check, is my third, do I have something in my price field? Is that present? Then I convert it into a decimal. Notice that price has to be checked, that it is not empty before you can check that it is a decimal. This is one use of using shorthand. And is decimal. Where are you? Oops, sorry, validator. Is decimal. And pass it the text price. So I check it that it's not empty before I check it that it's a decimal. And if you wanted to do range, remember there is a range also. What was it called? Is within range. There it is. And what does it want? It needed 3 parameters from you. The text price box, comma. Now it wants a minimum and it wants a maximum from you. Now you'll say, oh, my minimum value is 0 and my maximum value is $100 if you wanted to do it that way. If you want to say any decimal value is valid, then these constants must be defined in your decimal class. I'm almost positive they should be. Something called, there it is. I see a max. I don't see a min. Oh, there it is. There. So if you bring your mouse over it and you hover your mouse over it, it will say it represents a decimal number and it says it's a constant value. That's the minimum. Do you see the value? Decimal value that you can use as the minimum value, and then you can pass the maximum. Now, if this is what you want, good. But if you want to give something like, oh, my value should be between 0 and 100, then you'll have to, or between maybe $1 and 100, then you'll have to say 1, 100. So what are you saying? The price of my product must lie between 1 and 100. So it depends on you what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like I've written a method. You can call it with the minimum value and the maximum value. You can call it with 1 and 100. You can call it with 0 and 50. Whatever your application is demanding, you can do it. So now a user cannot input a value less than 1 and more than 100. He cannot. So that's the minimum value he or she can input. You'll say, oh, I'll allow 0. 0 is okay. Doesn't make sense to me, but maybe you still don't know the price of your product and you'll fill it afterwards. Then we can go something like this. And you can give a value. So if everything is okay, all these conditions are being satisfied, it will return a true. Remember, true, 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 true will return a true. If any of this condition is false, it will return a false. Job done. Bool and Boolean mean the same. Why doesn't it like it? Oh, is there a difference between when I put bool in the return type and I use boolean as a variable? That's strange, right? I didn't think about it. You can say boolean when I declare a variable, but it's not allowing me to do this. Let's see, why is it saying so? Oh, it has to be capitalized. Okay, that makes sense. I for a minute thought, oh God, no. Okay, so I can use a small, like same as string and capital string. So you can use a small bool if you like. Good that it came up. You can use a small bool if you like, or you can use this boolean with a capital B. Same as string, S with a capital S or S with a small string. So look at my validator class. I've reduced my code. I've done everything in my validator class. Again, do you see the advantage? No try catch blocks at all in my no try catches at all in my code. I validate everything through my validator class. That's what I do. So if the data is valid, I get it, I put it, and there it is. It's gone. It does. So now the number. So notice I did the convert myself here. The problem, I mean, I was thinking when I was doing my validator class, because this validator is only going to tell you whether it is, yes, it is a number or it is not a number. So let me see if the overload method, I think I need this second parameter. I can't work without it. Okay, no, it doesn't. It says one overload. I want to see what the overload is. You always have to say an out with it. Where is my result going out? I didn't use it because I can't return two values back from a method. It returns a true or a false. What is the second overload? How do you see the second overload? No overload for method. Yeah, that's okay. But where is the second overload? So it does need a, and this is its syntax, guys, just so that you know. So there is 1 of 2. Okay, so where is the other one? 2 of 2. 2 of 2 says, oh, style. Okay, I get it. 2 of 2 says the style. So I was thinking if I could return this number from here, but there was no way because I can only return a value. So what did I have to do again here? So I have to do, it's kind of a duplicate, but I mean, I have no option. I have to convert it to decimal again here. But remember, this is a small thing to do. Convert to decimal again is a small thing to do. But this is only converting to decimal after I have ensured that my data is valid. So no problems can come here. I don't have to put it in a try catch block. My validator class is already taking care of that. Notice how I say if the data is valid. And again, all messages will come, everything will work fine because all those messages have been taken care of there. So that's a neat class. A validator is a helper class. It is also called a utility class that does your validation. And you can add any methods in it as you like. So I didn't do integer because I didn't need to. But if you wanted an integer, what would you do? You would create a public static Boolean is integer maybe. And then you will try to parse it as an integer. And then if you can't parse it as an integer, do whatever you have to do with it. Now let's see how everything is working. It should work smoothly now. Let's try. So delete was already working. Okay, so I want to add a product, right? I add a product. Notice this, it's a show dialog box. I can come back here. Now I could, and there are no buttons, no minimize, no maximize. No, the only way I can come back from here is my cancel. If I don't want to do anything. The other option is save. If I try to save, see, code is a required field. And look at the messages. The messages are, I don't say where it says error here. I thought I gave it the value entry error, didn't I? It says error here. Okay, let me see what's happening there. I see an okay. Okay, so I give a code. Remember, I had also said it is exactly equal to 4 characters. Oh, this is when it tries to create the product. Oops, there is where it will do it. So maybe a better way would be to do the checking here. Yeah, something like I have is within range. I should say is in that length. Oh, so here it won't say that error. It will say it there. Okay, so description. Same, everything is working. Price, let's try to give a non-numeric price. It will say price must be a decimal value. Let's try to give a within range, problem of within range. Everything is working, neat and clean, like as if I had used try catches. Now let's try to give a $1. And now it's going to throw an exception because my code is not 4 characters. Okay, so let's say save. But I threw it. Yep, because I just threw it. You know, I didn't do anything. I didn't put a dialog box or anything. I threw it. There is your exception. So maybe this checking that it is exactly 4 letters, I can do it in my validation. It would be a better place to do it. Then it won't go back. It will do all that checking here. You see now where I can do this better? I just threw it here, so it's coming up, which is what it will, right? Now let's try to do it normally. So everything, all my error validations are working. Notice you just threw it. When you throw an exception, where does it go? To the runtime unit. What does the runtime unit say? It says, I don't know what to do. And what does it do? It gives you that message. That's exactly what the runtime unit does. Same with Java. If you throw an exception, what does the Java IDE do for you? What does the runtime unit do for you? Red squiggly, it gives you those red stack trace and everything trace and shows you. That's exactly what it has done here. So maybe a better idea would have been to, I don't know what to do. Maybe just give a message, but that won't help because giving a message won't help. So maybe this checking, instead of doing it here, I can do it in my validator. Then at least the product is never created. You know what I mean? It's never created. So that would be a better place to do it. That would be a better place to do it. That's all I can think. Or of course, instead of throwing it, I have to handle it myself. So now let's run it properly, like things were okay. So be careful, code has to be 4 characters, okay guys, just because I made it. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. We've already checked that everything else is working. I'm just going NEW, new book. The price is working. Let's give it $10. It's a decimal. You can even say 10.50 and say save. Right? Notice it appears here, but it has also gone to your XML file. That thing that went, came back, product did everything. And let's do an exit. When you exit, it will say you have made changes to your file. Is it okay? I'll say yes. Come back here to your Solution Explorer. Open your XML file. This data that I just added is right here. Is right here. See, I gave the code as 1224, though I see, oh, they're all 4. Good. There are 4, and I said new in its description, and I gave its price. If I run this script again, if I run my code again, that new will appear in my list. There it is. I don't think it is sorted. MNO. You can make it sorted. They didn't make it sorted. List box, all go to the design and make it sorted. It just appears neatly. There, I've created a multi-form application that is sharing data using an XML file. That's what I've done, right? And in that process, I mean, we haven't done the XML file yet. I'll now look at it because I have time now. But in that process, I have shown you how to create your own classes. We created a product class because this product entity had to be used throughout my project. And I created a validator class. We've done try catches before, but this is an alternative to how you've been doing it, and you've seen an alternative here. Much easier, isn't it? It's easier. Just because I put everything in a class, I created a utility class. And whatever you want to add, you can keep adding to it. I created a is within range, which took a decimal, a minimum and maximum. If you're working with integers also, maybe you wanted to say quantity in stock or how many to add, how many products do you want to add? Then you will create an integer. Then you will have an is integer in your validator class within range for your validator, and everything will work properly. Everything will work properly, right? So in the process of learning how to create new classes, you also learned properties, which was new from Java. Methods you already know, right? We've written methods all the time. Every program will have methods, but you also learned about the self-bodied, the expression-bodied methods and properties, and also the lambda operator, right? The get and the set methods, properties, and so on. So this is just an introduction to classes. There is more to it, guys. There is more to it, but it was so difficult to do it all together in one class. So as I said, if I have time, I'll do it in the last one. Now, the only thing, if you want, I can quickly go through it. The only thing that's missing that you have kind of assumed is your product class, the product DB class. And believe me, it's not so tough at all. It's just a class. Again, it's a helper class, and this helper class has 2 methods. It has 2 methods, and of course, I had to go through it too. I mean, I was using XML file in C# for the first time, but it's just an XML file. And it has 2 helper methods. Notice again, it's a static class. It's a helper class that has 2 helper methods, get products, whose job is to read the XML file, read one element at a time, and kind of add it to your description and pass it back. Right? So I would strongly recommend that please go through it. I'm not going through it because it was so English like. It's very simple. And it had another helper method which was saving the products. So there it is reading, and here it is writing. So there you create a writer object. Here you create a writer object, and there you create a reader object. And you do some settings with it. Right? So this is where, so files are of a permanent nature. They're not going anywhere at all. It's not a problem. The only drawback with files is they're not of unlimited size like a database. In databases are used when you're working with more amount of data, files when you're say working with small amount of data, but it's permanent storage. So we've learned how to permanently store data in a file. Also in that process, how the two forms are sharing data. Remember, what do you mean by sharing? I added the data in my new product form, but it was available in the first form. I can do an add from there and come back here. And when I go back from my new form to my old form, my data still exists. This could not have been achieved if you were using arrays or lists locally. Like you couldn't have achieved it. So there are ways of achieving it. I told you there are 3 ways. One, I've used a file today. You will learn how to use a database. And also you could have created another utility kind of class where you were saving all the data. Right here, you haven't done that. You are saving the data in a file, but you could save data in a class, and that class can be shared by all the forms in your project. And okay, give me that value. Oh, I'm changing that. Give me that value, and you can do it that way. And the easiest and the dirtiest way is to make it public. All your variables are public, which I wouldn't recommend at all. Right? Don't make your fields public. Data must be hidden. So don't make them public, but you could, then every form can look at every other form's data. And that's the most quick and the dirty way to do it, but not the correct way to do it. If you wanted to share it amongst every project in your Solution Explorer, right now only I have one project. And in that project, I have my forms. But if you had multi-project, you can also create multi-project solutions. Then instead of, you could make it public, but if you wanted to restrict it only to your solution, then you can make it internal. Internal allows, it's like protected, but a little different. Protected is more to do with subclasses, but internal says I'm available in my solution. When it's more at when it is compiled, it says, okay, now this is available at the solution. Right? So that takes care of what I wanted to do today. Now, if there are any questions, I'm hoping you can go through this file, the product maintenance DB file, the product DB class. If there are any questions you need to ask, please do. Next time, if you like, or by email. But you know what? I think you can handle it. It's not a big job at all. It really is not a big job at all. So I had to read a little about it, definitely. I mean, if you're doing something, you have to know what's going on. But notice how it writes. It writes every element itself, the opening brackets, the closing brackets, what's going into it, how to convert it, everything goes inside it. So XML file is it's a data format independent way of passing data. Do you see there is no format to it? In the sense, I mean, it's just text, code is text, description is text, so is your price a text. Everything is saved as text. So it's a text file, free format text file that is used to transfer data from point A to point B. So instead of using a text file, you've used an XML file. And XML files are not a great deal. They became very popular a decade back, but somehow I think now databases and so on have taken over because of the huge amount of data that we work with. Okay, that's for today. We're done for today. There is no assignment today. You can rest in peace. I will think of one, of course. I'll make up one that will involve classes. Not rest in peace that way, guys. No, not that way at all. I said mind in peace, okay? And I'll try to make something that will give you something to do with it so that you have a little practice. But for today, I didn't make up one. I just wanted to give everything to you as much as I could. So I did have the product list ready, but whatever it is, can do it, right? Can't rush you a lot.